Okay, this is a video that is important, but I'm sure it's not going to get many views. And that is the selection of socks that you should have for in the field. You probably figure you're just going to go out, you're going to get what's cheap, you'll carry it in your bag, and that'll be good enough. Well, unfortunately, it's not going to work that way. Because for us, we need to have socks that allow your feet to dry out as best as possible so they wick away moisture. They also have to be extremely durable, because you're not going to be cleaning your socks every day or every week. Hell, you may not even be cleaning them once a month. You get to it when you can, when you're able to. You may be wearing the same pair of socks for a week or 2 weeks. I've done that in the field. I've had to do that where I've worn the same pair of socks for 3 days, 7 days, or up to 10 days. It just happens. Now, right off the bat, I'm going to tell you, do not get the white cotton socks that are available at every store around the world. One of the things they tell you when you go to basic is you do not want to use them when you go to the field because they do not dry very quickly, and that's true. I've had white socks that I used during PT. I hung them out to dry in my room, and literally the next morning they were still damp from the day before. So I just take them then and toss them in my laundry bag, and I grabbed a new set because I couldn't reuse them. Now think about that. If you're out in the field, you're putting your stuff out to dry so that you can use it the next day after you wake up. If it's still wet, it's just going to mess your feet up that much quicker. Now, another major problem with white socks is durability. I did a few experiments on this at work because I do a very physically demanding job with lots of walking. I wore the same pair of socks for this last week at work. And when I started out, they looked like these. There are no holes. They were just fine. This is the result after 1 week at work. The heels wore through and the toes burst through. And it happened on both socks. They're trash now. You're not going to reuse them. So that tells me that white socks just have no durability. And I've had this happen over and over. Even socks that I changed out every other day or every day, they've only lasted about a month, maybe 2 months at my job, and then they ended up the same way. They wore out and they developed holes. Now, the military issues cotton wool blend socks. This sock here is one of them I was issued in basic training over 20 years ago. And guess what? They're still fine. I've used them in ruck marches, I've used them in field, I've used them at my current job. Hell, I've worn them at my current job for a week straight and they were still fine afterwards. They're made to last and they do last. So if you can get a hold of military issue socks, military surplus ones that are field socks, not dress socks, do it. Get a hold of them. The only issue I've ever had with the black socks here that I was issued in basic is occasionally I'll get a hole up on the toe. Well, then I just go through and I sew it up. It's called darning your socks. I have never had an Army issue sock wear out on the heel. The only place I've ever had holes develop is up on the toes, and that's because of the toenail rubbing against it in the boot. Now, this is the current issue sock, or at least it was when the ACUs came out. They went to all green socks. You were not allowed to wear black anymore. They were just as durable as the black ones. As you can see, they're just a little bit longer. The ones that I got a hold of, I had no problems with them. They never wore out, never had any holes in them, and I would wear them day in, day out, mission after mission, operation after operation. I washed them when I could, and they lasted no problems. Now, there is a type of sock you might come across, because these were sold in clothing sales, and you'll figure this would be a better sock because there's more cushion on them. And that's this type here. You see it's a very cushioned bottom and a regular sock top. I have a bunch of these that I bought, and I primarily use them during winter time. I do not use them all the time because they have one major flaw, and that's right here where the two different materials come together. They split right along that edge. When I did use them during winter operations, during training and that, if I wore the same socks over a week to 2 weeks, where I would rotate them out, I'd wear one pair of socks one day, a different pair the next day, and just keep rotating back and forth. After about a week, they would start splitting open. And once they start splitting open, they're useless. You just toss them. There's no way you can repair them, because whatever repairs you do to them, they will rub on your skin. It'll cause, breaks in the skin, which can get infected, and then you're going to have some real problems. So if you get a hold of these, or you get a hold of the really thick hunting socks, use them for cold weather. Try to get this type, which are lighter weight but still very durable. Get those for your warmer weather. Otherwise, they work during winter too. Not an issue, just wear thicker boots. If you get white socks, only use them for physical training, your workouts, going for runs and stuff like that. Do not use them for ruck marches when you're practicing or anything, and do not use them for missions. They will not last. Plain and simple. Now, for all my engineer brothers in the Patriot and Militia movements, always remember, essay ons.